With this project, we're learning to sgraffito, which translates from Italian literally to mean to scratch. So what we'll be doing is laying down a base of color and then carving through to expose the clay underneath. And the contrasting colors between the clay body and the slip is what makes the design. When you're decorating your work with sgraffito, the first step is to create a color field with slip. For this project, you have the black and white slip that we used on our first project, as well as these three new colors of slip: iron red, green, and blue. You can see what these colors look like when they're fired under a clear glaze by checking out the cylinder on the left. So I have my leather hard bowl, and now I'm going to start decorating it with a slip and getting it ready for sgraffito. So sgraffito is this technique where you put a field of color and then scratch through it to reveal the clay body underneath. So you need to start by first applying that field of color, which is applying slip. Now you can do this by dipping, by pouring, or even brushing. I'm going to use this green slip here. And I'm going to go ahead and just dip my bowl in, just like if I were applying glaze, and then let it dry. All right, now I'm gonna let that dry until the slip is also leather hard. Now my bowl has been dipped in slip and I've let it dry until it's leather hard again. So at this point, for sgraffito decoration, I want it to be at like a leather hard that feels sort of like chocolate, because we're going to be carving into it and we want to get the really nice clean carving lines. And you can use a lot of different tools to carve. You could use a needle tool. You could also use your loop tools to carve, depending on the types of lines and marks you want to make. So it's going to be a pretty straightforward process. You just want to make sure that you're carving through enough to reveal the clay body underneath, but not so far that you poke through your piece. So, for example, I'm trying to decide what design to do on this. You could make imagery, you could make patterns if you want to. I think I'm just gonna do a scallop kind of design off this edge that I've built or I've thrown in. Now what you'll notice is that I'm getting all these little burrs along the line that I carve, and I'm not going to worry about that right now. If I try to wipe them off now, they're probably just going to smear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them dry, and when this piece is closer to bone dry, those little burrs will brush off with a paintbrush. A lot easier. So I'm just gonna make my way around the bowl, carving this design in. And if you want to be more exact, you could lightly sketch out with a pencil. You don't want to necessarily emboss the clay with a pencil, but you could make some light marks that kind of give you an area, like an idea of what you want to do. I'm just freehanding this, so we'll see how it turns out. And so you can see I'm getting this really nice thin line with my needle tool. If I wanted to use my loop tool, I could maybe use it to get possibly a wider mark. So I'm using it just to scoop out just like a little dot. And so you can see how I'm carving through the clay, and I'm starting to get this really nice, perhaps it's a little tough to see now, but what happens is there's this contrast between the color of the slip and the color of the clay that I'm carving through to. And that's what creates the lines in the design. And so you can see how, you know, working with different tools is going to give you a different line quality and different possibilities. So this is really a chance for you to kind of go crazy, bring some real creative touches into this, whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to keep working around this, and you'll see what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, so now I have my bowl decorated, and you can see I've got some different marks and lines that I tried, and you know, and I tried to think about my elements and principles of design, and so I'm using repetition to kind of unify the top and bottom of the pot, and so, you know, you do want to think about the pot as a composition on the whole. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until this sets up a little bit more, a little closer to bone dry, and I'm going to take a brush and clean off all the little burrs. So now my sgraffito work has set up a little bit, the pot's a little drier, and you can see the burrs have now turned bone dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a nice clean brush and start going back and forth with the brush, and usually a stiffer brush works best for this. You can see my brush is a little bit on the soft side, so I might want to go see if I can't find myself a stiffer one, but actually it's kind of getting the job done. I think it's okay. So I'm just kind of going back and forth over those lines, and you can see how it's knocking off all those burrs, like the little crumbs from carving. And you know, if you happen to knock one into a line, it's okay. You can use a tool. Like I kind of knocked one into a line here. I'm just going to use that tool to pick it out. I'm just going to go over all the carving I just did and knock those little babies off. There we go. And that's making my design look much cleaner. Got to do the same thing on the bottom. And that should about do it. So once you clean off all the burrs, then your sgraffito's done, and you can really see how that line work is going to look with the slip and the different colors. So have fun with it.